Welcome to Chew's Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820. Now here's your host, Richard Chew.
Hey, good morning, progressives. Welcome to what's today? Today is Wednesday, January 8th. Already, Mike, 2025. This is the 2025 January 8th edition of Chew's Views, 773-763-9278. Facebook Live, Twitter stream, TuneIn Radio, iHeart Radio as well. You can email me at richard@WCPT820.com. Glad to be here with you this morning, working through some technical challenges. I won't say difficulties, but some technical challenges on this Wednesday. Catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That's where you can get Chew's Views, Joan Esposito, Live, Local, and Progressive, Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, Out Chicago, and our other shows. Check out our heartlandsignal.com digital platform. That's a place where you can get lots of good stuff. So we look forward to having you guys there and checking out what we do and making sure that you can share that information with all of your cohorts, all of your folks that are out there trying to make a better way in this crazy time that we're in, and the crazy time that's coming up on us in just a couple of weeks. So I'm hoping you guys are out there this morning and staying warm if you're in the Chicagoland area, staying safe if you are commuting. As always, in the morning, I'm up early, so I ran into a friend yesterday, and he said, "What time do you get up in the morning to go to do the show?" And I said, "I get up at 4:45 in the morning, and then make my way here and get here safely and all that good stuff." And the point of all that was, I think about the when I get up and get going and head this way, how many other people are out, and it's active, but it's not crazy busy. And so I always want to say to you guys just to be safe and careful and be prepared. Kind of the old school way, get your stuff together the night before so you're not getting up in the morning and going, what do I do now? So in any event, you guys know where I come from in that space, and hopefully everybody's making a safe commute to wherever they've got to go to today. And if you got some, whether it be older folks, younger folks, or people that may have some ambulatory challenges, make sure to check on them. I've got a few people that I've got to check on in my world, just to make sure that they are they're out and about, or at least that they're getting going this morning, that they're getting going safely. So, guys, make sure that you make this a safe morning. So, and also talking about the weather and talking about safety, really want to send all the love that we can to our folks in California, particularly in the Palisades area. You've probably seen the reports or seen some of the news coverage of what's happening in that area of Los Angeles with the fires that have taken place there. So make sure that you are, if you know anybody out there, that you're reaching out to them to find out and make sure that they're safe and that they are, not too caught up in this. And obviously it's always about safety, not possessions, but it doesn't change the fact that, some people may lose homes and that sort of thing. So, or lose property. But do your best to reach out to folks that you may know in the area and see that they're doing okay. And I've made a few calls and sent some text messages to friends and family and colleagues that are in that immediate area. So just keep an eye out, keep an ear out, send out as many good, thoughts and just good vibe. I won't say thoughts and prayers, but just send out the good vibes that you can to folks that might be having to deal with this right up, up close and personal. So listen, I want to start the show off by talking about a couple of things that we always try to keep our arms around and make sure that we're dealing with the right way. And we've got our Wednesday guest and partner in the form of Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63 that will be with us, that I'm really excited about. I haven't talked to Kurt in a couple of weeks because of the holiday landing on Wednesday, both Christmas and New Year's landing on Wednesday. So it made it a little bit challenging to kind of have a show. But we did our rebroadcast, our best of shows, and you guys can catch those, of course, at the Heartland Signal platform, and you can certainly catch my other shows there. But we're going to have Kurt on today, which is exciting because I haven't talked to him in a couple of weeks. So I'm looking forward to him being with us this morning in the 7 o'clock hour. And then as the week goes by, tomorrow we will have in studio with us Kenneth Smith, who's running as candidate for mayor in North Chicago. That'll be with us. And then Friday, our good friend Karen Byrne from True Blue Politics will be with us. John Fugelsang from Sirius XM, and our own Mayor Brandon Johnson will be with us on Friday. So got a busy next 3 shows, and excited about being able to bring you guys those guests and all that we're going to be doing here. So going to be fun, as always, trying to make it fun for you guys and informative. So that's what we'll be doing. So real quickly, let's dive over to Choose Views News, bring you up to speed on a few items, and we'll take a break, and then we come back. I'm going to talk about an issue that took place in the last 24, 36 hours that I've got an opinion on. America's 25 fastest growing jobs. Artificial intelligence engineers tops this year's LinkedIn jobs on the rise list, a data-based ranking of the 25 fastest growing jobs over the past 3 years. The list highlights areas of opportunity and sustainable growth in today's world of work. There are roles signaling the dominance of artificial intelligence, AI consultants, AI researcher, as well as a rebound in travel and hospitality, travel advisor, event coordinator. A surge in the construction sector, community planner, bridge engineer. Some tend to be some of these trending positions. So these are areas that are exciting for upside and exciting in terms of 2025 and jobs that people are leaning into. Openings have also jumped in terms of jobs, and that's being led by the service industry. In November, the most recent data showed that business service employers were leading the way. Overall, available positions in the U.S. increased by more than expected to 8.1 million from 7.8 million in October. The Labor Department and Job Openings Labor Turnover Survey did reveal yesterday, and at the same time, the number of Americans quitting jobs fell to 1.9%. That's the lowest since the pandemic hit, signaling some jitters about the ability to find other work. A separate report Tuesday showed expansion in services during December, suggesting faster hiring in that sector may continue into 2025. Stocks are having a little bit of a burble given what's happening with the Treasury. Tuesday, after the latest economic fears were stoked, concerns that the Fed Reserve could slow the pace of interest rate cuts amid lingering inflation. All 3 major stock indexes ended the day lower, with the NASDAQ posting the steepest decline as shares of large technology companies fell. And technology companies often are the kind of the bellwether. NVIDIA and Tesla both dropped by more than 4%. Economic data on service sector activity and the labor market has fueled concerns about a pickup in inflation, leading traders to increase their bets that the central bank will scale back its rate cuts for 2025. And unfortunately, bank giant JP Morgan is quitting its group bank's commitment and participation in reducing greenhouse gas emissions. It's the last major bank to step back from the Net Zero Banking Alliance, and other big lenders, including Morgan Stanley, Citigroup, and Bank of America, as well as Goldman Sachs, left in recent weeks. JP Morgan says it remains committed to pursuing low-carbon technologies while advancing energy security, per a statement to Bloomberg. The lack of support from banks in the NZBA is being criticized by climate advocates who fear the industry is backing away from its commitment to address fossil fuels. Tesla also facing a little bit of, attention, I guess you could say. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has opened a preliminary investigation into 2.6 million vehicles equipped with Tesla's Actually Smart Summon feature. The feature, which enables vehicle owners to move their cars remotely, is believed to have been involved in 4 crashes. The new investigation follows the NHTSA's ongoing probe into the full self-driving software installed in more than 2.4 million Tesla vehicles. And last but not least, as y'all may have heard, Meta has decided in its overhaul regarding content moderation that it will stop fact-checking content and remove speech restrictions on Facebook and Instagram, which were introduced in 2016. It's a move towards restoring free expression on platforms, according to Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Meta, just a day after announcing a shakeup to its board. Fact checkers will be replaced by community notes akin to X's system of the same name, with users adding notes to posts that may contain false or misleading information. My feeling on this is misleading information is misleading information. If it's misleading, if you categorize it, Mike, as misleading information, then you can't. What's the point of having it even be out there? If you knowingly are going to have a platform that is putting out misleading information, talk about fake news, talk about false information, talk about misleading. That's a recipe for further disaster. And I talked about this before in terms of who's kissing the ring and bending the knee or going to Mar-a-Lago and who's not. But we're going to cover some of those items when we come back. The number is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to Choose Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. Before we went to the break, I talked about this issue with Meta and not bending the knee, not going to Mar-a-Lago, and Mike made a good point, and that was why now? Why all of a sudden now? It's not. Is it because? What's the reason now that you're going to suddenly say we're going to change our algorithm and our direction by overhauling content moderation? You didn't know about this 6 months ago, 12 months ago, 2 years ago, or going back to, if we're going to make it a political conversation, 2016 after the 2016 election going into 2017, you didn't know about it then. So follow the money. And as Mike and I were saying, folks are going to show you their colors when they're going to show you their colors. So I'm not. It's not even a question of being disappointed in Meta. It's just we're not stupid. We've seen what's happening, and that's the thing that we have to remember to do, and is to recognize when we see something happening that we call it out. And to that end, I want to say something. Yesterday, there was a caller that said to me that called in from Los Angeles. And by the way, I hope that the folks that called in from Los Angeles and Santa Monica yesterday are safe. But in the conversation was talking about some of our failing systems and what we got to do. And in the conversation said that we have to that he voted for Cornel West. And I didn't jump all over him about it at the time. I could have said, "Hey, what do you mean you voted for Cornel West? Don't you realize it was a wasted vote?" I said it after the fact because I'm just looking at time all the time, and when we're coming up on breaks, and we had a guest contributor from the Center for American Progress on hold. So, sometimes guys, I know you encourage me to get after folks, but sometimes I have to be mindful of, our time and our, when we got commercial breaks coming up and that sort of thing, and particularly if we have a guest on hold. So don't think I forgot, didn't hear that. I did hear it. But we have to just also be mindful of the fact that we've got to keep things moving forward. And to that end, I have to say something that took place yesterday that I know you guys are aware of, or I believe you guys are aware of, and some folks are frustrated behind it. So I'm going to give you a little bit of kind of my observation about something that took place yesterday that was somewhat anticipated, but I want to give you guys just roll with me for a second. So Eileen Cannon, who's a judge down in Florida, U.S. District Judge Eileen Cannon, temporarily blocked the Justice Department from releasing the special counsel Jack Smith's final report on the investigations into Donald Trump, the 2 investigations, criminal investigations into Donald Trump. Now, she blocked him blocked that Justice Department report being released. Okay. So this is how I look at that. There's a couple things. First of all, don't be upset with her, because why waste the time being upset with her? When we realized that she was already cooking the books before with the delays and saying that Jack Smith was not legitimately appointed as a special counsel, unconstitutional, and all this other garbage, that's a bunch of garbage in and of itself. But don't get upset with her about that, because that's what she was put there to do. If you want to be upset with something, let me put an interesting spin on this. Be upset with the fact that people didn't take things seriously when Hillary Clinton said that Donald Trump would appoint judges that would be harmful to the country, and not just Supreme Court justices, but judges. And this is a perfect example. So if you want to do a little bit, if we're going to do a little bit of rewind on all of us, that's where this really started, is because of the fact that we didn't pay attention to things like that. We were more concerned about her emails. The other thing I want to say in that space is as we go forward, we have to be mindful that these things could repeat themselves. So Eileen Cannon was just doing what she got, quote, appointed and hired to do, which was to run downfield coverage, to use a football analogy, for Donald Trump. That's what she did. She ran a cross-field block. They ran a fade pattern, and she was that offensive player that ran a little bit of downfield coverage for him. And here it just paid off in a massive way. It's also, and when I was reading and thinking about this yesterday, I said, okay, I want to link this to something that a lot of times people don't think about, I believe. But it's not your fault. It's just that, you're busy thinking about other stuff. And this is how dark money works, okay? Eileen Cannon, nobody wrote her a check. People think that dark money is always going to the politicians, the elected officials. Nobody wrote her a check and said, hey, you got to get our boy, you got to give our boy a pass. That's not what happened. This is what happened. Wealthy folks decided that we need to have certain people in place. And to make sure that they understand what their place is, we're going to do one of two things. We have enough money to be a spoiler in all your efforts. We have enough money to, as a 501(c), run ads against you. We have enough money to find out information and investigate your family and see if you got a second cousin that's a pedophile, and that you guys used to hang out in the summers, in Atlanta or in Palm Beach or wherever. That's what dark money does. It takes someone like this and says, that's one side of the dark money. They go after you in a negative way. The people that they need to spend and that they need to have in their pocket. The other way that dark money works is that they will put together a way of setting aside $1 million or $2 or $3 million because it's a drop in the bucket. And then what they'll do, Mike, is they'll say, that's yours. We've got it in one of our bank accounts that's in a U.S. bank, and it's under the name of Mike and Richard Radio Dudes, Inc. And it's going to sit there for a while. And it's in our name, but that's your money if you do what we tell you to do. And here's how we're going to get it to you. There's going to come a point down the road where, there's going to be, you're going to decide to make a career change, or you're going to decide to do something different in your life. And if while you're serving our needs and our will, that money that's grown and, done all this whatever fancy things, we're controlling that money. But if you do what we tell you to do for these next 3 to 5 years and you keep our boy protected, and there comes a time that you decide you're going to walk away from being a judge, we'll redirect that money so that it's now in an account that we create for you. And yeah, you'll pay a little bit of tax on it, but you will be a far wealthier person because you did what we wanted you to do for our boy. back in the day, and I think about, the Capone eras, and I think about any of the, the quote unquote movies about the, the underworld, if you will, or the organized crime world in recent times. And I mean, I say recent, let's go back to the 80s and then go back to the 20s. So let's just take a big window of time. And there's always a judge or judges that got paid off. Okay. And they got paid off literally. Dude met with the guy at a bar, slipped him an envelope, 10 grand in there, and that stuff is it's not gone, but that blatant way of paying off a judge, that's not the way it's done anymore. It's dark money. It's dark money. It's me, Mike, and 8 of our other cronies that got stupid money that decide we want to take care of our boy or girl, depending. And we do it that way. And so this is where sometimes our society doesn't think about how this happens. They just think, oh, she's going to get a promise of a judgeship. She's already a judge. She's going to get appointed to the Supreme Court. Okay. It's the dark money along the way that people don't think about. How they're making sure that the judges, and it's not trackable because it's not in her name. But they let her know. They walked into the meeting and said, hey, Judge Cannon, see that? That's $2 million. Take care of our boy. It'll be yours down the road. And is it bribing? It's not technically, because the money is sitting in an account that's not listed in our name. It's me, Mike, and our eight other, craven cronies are running that game. That's how it works in one way. That's we'll call it the positive side or the non-threatening side. The other side is they're coming after her second or third cousin who's a pedophile that nobody knows about. And they're letting her know, if you don't take care of our boy, we'll put it out there that you guys used to play in the sandbox together growing up. That's how they do it. So dark money is not, corporations are not people, but money has become a voice. And this is how we get to a point where we have a Judge Eileen Cannon that says, this is her next thing that she's done. She did things last year with regard to delays, and now she's blocking the release of the Jack Smith report. And so it goes. And don't be surprised if you see more of it. And, why is Zuckerberg deciding to take the guardrails off? Because he realizes, hey, people can talk smack about me for the next 4 years while 34 times CF is in office. They can talk smack all they want to, but guess what? If the share price of my shares go up, I'm wealthier, and in his mind, he's thinking that the value of the company goes up. My employees may literally become wealthier because they are compensated heavily by the value of the company. So if he doesn't come after me, I don't have to completely kiss the ring or get down on both knees, but I can then say, in his mind, I'm not justifying it, guys. Don't get me wrong. In his mind, he's processing it that way. And that is another way that dark money is in our political system right now. So there you go. That's my observation for that. And in the same breath, I'm going to say this before we go to break. Kudos to President Biden for signing the Social Security Fairness Act to make sure that folks get their money. That's the other side of where we are in this political conversation. As this dude is going out, he's making sure he gets as much done. And I'm going to tell you what my request for President Biden is after we come back from the break. The number is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
It's Choose Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Choose Views, 773-763-9278. We're back. So I got a few folks triggered this morning already on this conversation about dark money and Judge Eileen Cannon. Don't be upset. I mean, we knew this was going to happen at some point. We knew that there was going to be yet another player that was going to block something, and she ran her position well. again, I'm using football analogies all day this morning. I guess I should use European soccer as well. She ran a great downfield block for him. Okay, so what is my wish suggestion for President Biden in terms of things that he can do? I mean, obviously, signing the Social Security Fairness Act was a bold but necessary and right move on its surface. But here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to see President Biden do in the face of what Judge Eileen Cannon just did. And those of you who follow me on the socials saw my post, because I got a ton of people that said, yep, I agree. And what is that? There's this group of people, 6 of which are, we will call them the rightest of the right injustices on the Supreme Court, that told Donald, that told the world, I'm not going to say they told Donald Trump, but they told the world, hey, presidential immunity is a thing. And we feel that, we're gonna lean in that direction. And I'm having some fun with this intentionally. But you all know what happened. John Roberts, Chief Justice, said with his other 5 cronies, yeah, we're gonna institute presidential immunity. Basically, they did that to give themselves cover. Again, that was give themselves cover. And they said that a president, if doing presidential acts, so to speak, that they have presidential immunity. So I decided, let's just bake that out a little bit. I think that for the good of the country and for the awareness that needs to be put out there, that President Biden should go ahead and force the hand of a lot of folks in the Justice Department. He's tried to keep that a nonpartisan part of the government. And in some ways, I think that, Merrick Garland failed the country in a major way. But I think that presidential immunity, because presidential immunity wasn't capped as this is only for Donald Trump, at least not what and I don't see that being there. Of course, the Supreme Court might want to look at it that way, and the folks on the right might want to say that Donald Trump has presidential immunity, but the decision wasn't written that specifically. They left it broad to give themselves cover to be able to come back and say, well, we don't think that's, a presidential act. Paying off hush money is not a presidential act if you do it before and during your presidency. Only part of that, in any event. Listen, President Biden, go ahead and release those findings. Go ahead and release the special counsel Jack Smith's final report. Release it to the world. I'm totally down with him doing that. Why? Because candidly, Donald Trump stole stuff that he shouldn't have stolen, taken things that he shouldn't have taken, or took things he shouldn't have taken. And listen, not every thought is baked out in its entirety. And I know that there's people that are going to say, well, Richard, he can't do it because of this, and he shouldn't do it because of this, and he's not going to do it because he doesn't want to ruin his legacy. I get all of that. This is my little wish list. This is my, opening up the Christmas, catalog and going, I want that. I'd love to see President Biden say, you know what? It's time for America to have to stop waiting and wondering and being blocked. Because there's not a judge that can prevent him from doing that based on what the highest quote unquote court in the land said that presidential immunity provided for. So his actions, in my reading of this, are for the good of the country. He's still president, and it's an action that would allow in and of itself creates cover, because if a president is responsible for informing the American people of threats, foreign and domestic, and to protect us from those, Donald Trump is a domestic threat to the country, president-elect or not. Those actions kind of force President Biden's hand to say, you know what, I'm going to release it. So, guys, call me a fool, call me crazy, but I think that he should go right on ahead and let it rip. And if it's a presidential act, which this would be, because it's for the sake of the country, it's to protect the country, it's to provide information to American citizens to make them aware of actions that were taken, then fire away, President Biden. I would love to see one of your final acts is to release that report. Really, really, truly, release that report. Don't go outside of the bounds. Don't do something crazy, which he won't. But this would be a way to kind of shut up a bunch of people that said that that Trump didn't do anything wrong and that he got all the other garbage that's out there from right-wing media, some mainstream media, but more importantly from MAGA that's got their head stuck in a hole. Go ahead and release it. Release it. Let everybody see it. And you know what else I would look at doing? Release the unredacted Mueller report. Why not? And maybe he's got this up his sleeve and we just don't know it, and he's going to drop the sledgehammer the day before the inauguration. Maybe that's what President Biden has already ready to go. I hope he does. But the way in which the right and the mainstream media went after his son, hey, listen, Hunter made mistakes. He knows it. He's done all the things that a regular person would do to try to make things better. Okay. They wouldn't leave him alone. They still don't want to leave him alone. And I'm not going to do the whataboutism. But I will say this. President Biden, if you're hearing me, if your people are hearing me, release the Mueller report unredacted and release the Jack Smith report unredacted. Let America see what let half of the country who voted for Donald Trump, the voting bloc that voted for Donald Trump, see what he actually did and was being investigated for. Let the country, let the world really see it, rather than just play the game of not, how do I want to put this? Decorum. But rather than play the game of decorum, just let it fly, and let America know. Let America know. I think it's almost like it's almost like when the question came down about the pardon for Hunter. Part of the president's responsibility, is to protect its citizens. And he knew and knows that the Trump administration and all their dark money people would be going after Hunter to no end. Okay? So the pardon to me made sense, for no other reason from that standpoint. He protected America, an American citizen. Almost this, and I would put this on par because of what they said they were going to do with and nobody get upset with me for saying this, but I would put this loosely in the category of making sure that a hostage was protected and taken care of, because what he did was to make sure, yes, it's his son, that an American citizen was protected. So do the country a favor, President Biden, and go ahead and release it. Release both of them in their entirety, unredacted, no blackouts, no, just do it. Because we know that Trump did something wrong. We know that what he did wrong was categorically nothing that a prior president has ever done. We know folks aren't stupid. So that's that's me passionately asking the president to release those two reports. And it'd be nice to see how the right reacts, because if the Supreme Court said that there is a thing called presidential immunity if the president is, and again, loosely I'm saying this, is immune from presidential acts. One of the responsibilities of a president is to inform the citizens and protect them from threats that are foreign and domestic. And Donald Trump is a threat to us domestically. So releasing the reports would not be outside of the bounds of doing something to inform the public and to protect them from threats that are foreign and domestic. I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think? I know you guys are trying to give us calls this morning. We have a little bit of we got a little technology issues this morning, so we're trying to patchwork things together. So give us a call back if you tried reaching us and I missed grabbing your call. 773-763-9278 is the number. Text us as well. But yeah, guys, I just feel like that the reason that, to me, that would be important for the country is that then there wouldn't be this denial that it happened. It would then be in the public conversation, and it would give people. I'll give you an example. I'm old enough, and it's not even to say old enough. Do you guys remember the Monica Lewinsky situation? And you remember when we had the after report of all that happened then with Lewinsky and Clinton and that whole crazy situation? Do y'all remember that it was published in the newspaper? I believe it was in the Wall Street Journal and the New York. It was a number of papers that published a large amount of that report that Ken Starr had put together. Remember that? So I really think that, and that was before the Supreme Court said, hey, presidents have immunity for acts while president. So there's precedent for the president releasing those two reports. But that's me, guys. I just wanted to kind of touch the nerve this morning and say, yes, we should definitely do that. Or President Biden should definitely do that. All right, guys, I know you guys want to talk to us. We've got the lines open, 773-763-9278. We're going to take a quick break. At the top of the hour, our good friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63 will be landing his propeller plane here with us this morning. Look forward to talking to him this morning. This is Choose Views, and we will be right back.
You're listening to Choose Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey, guys, welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. Now, on the flip side of all of this, I guess you could say, the appeals court, they rejected Trump's effort to cancel hush money sentencing, and that took place, and now here we are trying to make our way forward on that. We're about to have a convicted felon that's been sentenced in the White House. But America, we want to make America great again. Oh, Lordy, Lordy, Lordy. The sarcasm that is on me today it's palpable. So I'm doing my best to restrain in that space. But I do want to hear you guys and your comments and what you have to say. So, I've got your text. I'm going to get to your text in a little bit. And certainly we've got calls that are starting to back up. So I will make sure to not over talk and talk to you guys so we can hear what you have to say. But yeah, one judge said, we're going to cover for him. The other judge said, nah, or an appeals court said, nah, we're not going to do that. So kudos to the folks that said, hey, this is how it went down. In a one-page decision, Associate Justice Ellen Gessmer wrote that Trump's effort was, in quotes, denied. Didn't elaborate, Henry. Just said denied. It's like the appeal from Trump's attorney came into the paint, to use a basketball analogy, and Hakeem Olajuwon was there. And the late Dikembe Mutombo were there to say denied. Shaquille O'Neal was there as a backup. Denied. So good on them. And I'm happy that they were able to say no. All right, let's grab a few calls before we get to the top of the hour. Let's go to Andre. Andre, good morning. I understand you want to chat a little bit about AI. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. But the more you talk, the more thoughts change to mind. But
I wrecked your vibe, huh?
But my number one thing I wanted to talk about the artificial intelligence thing. Well, my comment on that is that I go way back, Mr. Chu, to the North American Free Trade Agreement, the Central American Free Trade Agreement, automation, outsourcing, and now artificial intelligence. But nobody's going around hollering and saying artificial intelligence will not replace us. Instead, they're concerned about people replacing them. This is something that the Republicans should take note on while trying to make these mandatory job requirements on people, is that the more that they invent machines to replace people, it's going to increase the people that's going to be out of work. And you're always going to have 3.5 to 4% unemployment as a result of it. So unless they can find a way to pay for people going to college to be updated to invent, create, and distribute artificial intelligence, whatever, then we always going to have an unemployment problem in this country. That's the way I see it, because it's been a spiral downhill. Machines have been replacing a lot of people. I used to work at a place, Mr. Chu, called Electromotive Diesel.
Okay.
And what they do is they made the motors for the metro trains and other trains, right? Well, there was a booth in there. The one guy was making $75 an hour. And you know what he did? He specialized in robotics. Mm-hmm. So he was programming and operating 4 machines at $75 an hour. So it's been a downward spiral with the job market. So artificial intelligence is one entity, but we've been going down for a long time, and something has to happen to preserve the job market, because these things are replacing people. The other thing that you mentioned, Mr. Chu, was Arlene Cannon. Mm-hmm. Let me just say something about Arlene Cannon. I believe that Jack Smith, Merrick Garland, Democrats, they know more than they telling us. The reason I say that is because if they really wanted Arlene Cannon to recuse herself from these cases, they could have exposed her background. And her background is that she's married to Josh Lawrence. Yep. Well, who is Josh Lawrence? Who is Josh Lawrence? Well, you know, with Josh Lawrence, Donald Trump, Petty, they were all palling around together, and therefore her husband has mob connections. Therefore, Trump has mob connections. And there you have it. It's the dark money. But this is why she keeps putting her thumb on the scale, because Jack Smith has been exposed to these type of things. I think they would have had a legitimate case, but I think they might have been afraid to bring forth these things. That's my personal belief. But it's enough behind Judge Cannon's background to kind of force her to recuse, but they didn't put forth that muscle. I think Jack Smith may have knew it, but he was just going along to get along. That's just my opinion on those things, Mr. Chu.
Well, first of all, Andre, thanks for your contribution on AI and jobs and machines and technology, because what I thought about, a couple of things popped into my mind when you were talking about that, going back to the 80s. One of the things that popped into my mind was a song by the group Steely Dan, IGY, What a Beautiful World This Will Be. And there's a lyric inside of that talks about big machines will make things better. Program our fellows for faster vision. I think I got the lyrics right. I might be a little bit off on that. But the point I'm making is it talked about how machines were going to make things better for everybody and take less stress off of people. But in fact, and you guys remember back in the early 80s when the tech boom in terms of personal computers hit the scene, that was going to make everybody's lives better, simpler. As it turns out, we've got an inverted relationship. Working people have increased the amount of time that they're working. Technology hasn't accelerated. Technology hasn't made working environments necessarily conclusively better for everybody. And the most important and doggish thing about it is wages have not kept up with what the proportionality of technology should be. And that is, to me, the biggest contributor to where we are when it comes to folks living a great and prosperous life, is that all of this conversation, Andre, nothing has fixed wages, not one doggone thing. And that, to me, is the saddest part of all of this. So thank you for the contribution and highlight on that. Regarding Arlene Cannon and who's behind the curtain, I'm with you, brother. There's as my father used to say, there's some stuff in the game, and that stuff was the SH_T word with her. And that's the other reason why I'm motivated to say, go ahead, President Biden, release the report. Just put it out there. Put that in the Mueller report out there. Do it now. We aren't going to be upset with you if you do. So, Andre.
Absolutely. And I hope he also was do a preemptive pardon of Louis Cheney and the rest of them that Trump would go after. He needs to protect those people because they put the country before party. Yeah, that's all I want to say.
Andre, it's good to hear your voice, man. Happy 2025. You know we're here for you, and we always appreciate your contribution to the show. Have a great day, okay?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. My man Andre, paying attention, doing his research, knows what's happened, knows history. See, that's what happens when you take the time to do the research and find stuff out. Let's try to grab one more quick call before we go to break. Let's go to Al in Franklin Park. Hey, Al, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Richard. I wasn't going to call in, but you got me going. and it has to do with AI because you were talking about AI jobs, and that's one of the jobs that are growing. In the past, you've asked, what do I think of AI? And what I think about AI is that it is really being used right now by our adversaries, and I'm big on media. It's being used right now to control us. They're being used by Facebook. It's being used by the Heritage Foundation. It's being used by the Russian troll farms. It's being used by Salem media. All these people understand it, and like you made a comment, like they have enough money. Yes, they have enough money. So even when you have some people that may not necessarily want to be getting in to do the things they want them to, they're going to, because that's how they can make a lot of money in AI.
Yeah.
And that's what we don't have on our side. And my big thing is the media. And once again, this is another way that they're winning, because we don't have the think tanks or anything to be able to be using the AI like they are. That includes Elon Musk and Federalist Society and Heritage Foundation. They all are putting money into AI right now. So.
And no, Al, it's a good point, and that's the slippery slope of discussing something that's a third rail item, which I'm not afraid to do. AI is definitely got, and as Andre said, though, both of you guys are right in the collective conversation. Technology, machines, the furthering of that conversation has been going on in my lifetime for 50 years of my life, and now we are at a point where the acceleration of it. Of that conversation is going to be accelerated by AI, and so it's a reality. And I can't tell you I have a singular solution to what Democrats need to do in terms of building a stronger messaging around that. But definitely the Democrats from a leadership standpoint on all levels, local, regional, national, have the tools to have that conversation and to do something about it. I believe, and so. I'm going to continue to do my part, Al. I promise you that. So. Yeah,
well, we have to expose it. That's what we have to do. We have to get it out there and understand what they are doing, and get people to know it, and somehow get around their AI. So to do that, because we don't have the money, but we have the people, and we have to have the brains, and we just gotta come together and somehow get that info out there.
Absolutely. Al, good to hear your voice. Thanks for the contribution and the awareness in that space, and we will continue to lean into that. I promise you that.
Okay.
All right, Al. Have a good day today. Thanks for the call. All right. Bye now. We probably don't have enough time to squeeze in another call before the break because we got Kurt coming up at the top of the hour. So we'll take a quick break, guys. Kurt's going to be on the line in a little bit. The number, of course, is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we will be right back.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820 AM, where facts matter. Take it away, Richard.
And yes, take it away, I shall. 773-763-9278. I know we got some folks on hold. We'll get to you after we have time with our wonderful guest, Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. But let me hit a couple of quick items here. Obviously, you guys make your way over to heartlandsignal.com, and there's some great clips there from Heartland Signal on X. About the Republican power grab, Minnesota State Representative Jamie Long on state Republicans looking to take more power. It's a bit ironic that on January 6th, we're talking once again about stealing an election, Republicans. We're very clear that they intend to use the temporary situation to make matters worse. So there you go. Some other good items over there at Heartland Signal X in terms of some of our videos and audio clips, so check those out. Let's see. I heard that Ohio Lieutenant Governor Husted is reportedly a favorite to replace J.D. Vance in the Senate. So, what can I say, y'all? MAGA y'all messed up, but you don't really care. Today, from 2 to 5, Joan Esposito will be here taking your calls and talking to Illinois State Representative LaShawn Ford, Casey Harrison, political correspondent at the Nevadan, part of the Courier Newsroom, and David Schultz, professor of political science at Hamline University in St. Paul. And on Friday, on Joan's show, she'll be talking with Illinois Congresswoman Nikki Baczynski, live, local, and progressive weekdays, 2 to 5 p.m. Central Time here on WCPT AM 820. Tonight, if you need a ride home, Patty Vasquez has got that car ready for you. Driving it home with Patty Vasquez will be joined by Chuck Hillebrand, a retired digital marketing executive and library scofflaw, who is using a 50-year-old overdue library book to raise money to benefit Reading is Fundamental, a literacy nonprofit. I remember that very well growing up and loved the libraries to this day. Josh Weil, Democratic candidate for Florida's 6th Congressional District. The April 1st election will replace Trump cabinet pick Mike Walz. Driving it home with Patty Vasquez, weekdays 5 to 7 p.m. on WCPT, AM 820. And just a reminder, Choose Views, 2 podcasts, Choose Views full episodes, and Choose Views featured interviews. You can share those with folks, and of course, just search Choose Views with Richard Chew, or get the links by visiting heartlandsignal.com/choose-views. All right, guys, got to keep it moving because we got a busy rest of the show. I got to read a couple of things before we get to Kurt. I said earlier that President Biden should release the Jack Smith report, but we had someone that sent me this text this morning. 10 things for Biden to do before leaving. Here's the list. Release complete unredacted Mueller report. Release the Jack Smith report. Recognize the nation of Palestine. Amnesty for all illegal aliens, just like Reagan did. Interesting, guys. Free Leonard Peltier. Send all evidence against Trump for storage outside the country until after Trump is gone. Pardon all non-violent marijuana offenders. I think he did that in part already. Anyhow, send a massive amount of aid to Ukraine, much more than has been sent so far. Send massive food aid to Gaza. And by airdropping MREs and to set up field hospitals, etc. And pardon, this is an interesting one, Henry, pardon all IRS debt for anyone with income under $250,000. Yeah. And make folks who are, the super wealthy and that whatever we're going to categorize them, the billionaires and the uber wealthy corporations, pay their fair share. Watch what happens to the economy then. You all don't even know. All right. Long awaited. 2 weeks. He's back. I should have put together some walk-on music for you. Welcome back to the show. Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. Good morning, man. How you doing?
Hey, how are you? I'm doing good.
I'm doing good. Great to hear your voice. Happy 2025. I hope that your holiday season went well. I've been following your posts and all the great things you've been putting out there, but it's good to hear your voice and good that we can be back and start this year off with a bang.
I agree. And we are, aren't we?
Yes, we are. You've been very busy on social media, my man. I've been watching a lot of the things you've been posting and a lot of things you've been talking about, and we've certainly got a lot to talk about. What do you think about my thought? What do you think about my suggestion to President Biden to use his presidential powers and backed up presidential immunity by releasing the Jack Smith report and the Mueller report?
The thought is, and where it's coming from is a great idea. He's not going to do that. That's not Joe Biden. And,
no.
I think you said that. So, and I don't really think it matters because there's one thing that we all know is that the people that need to know, they're not going to pay attention and they will not know because, it's just been confirmed with me even deeper than before since just in the last couple of weeks. The mega cult in our country has got to be the least educated and, period. They just, facts do not mean anything to them. They believe wholeheartedly everything the guy says and will defend him till the very end. And So, but most of us who want to know, we already know most of it and have read a great deal of it. And is it the report available online, or isn't it out there where you can read the end?
You mean the Mueller report?
Yeah.
I think
I thought I had read some of that in the past.
Yeah, the unredacted part is I think what I'm referring to, and you're right. I think the most important thing what you just said, the two pieces, is that the MAGA supporters, the GOP in general, they know what's out. Let me rephrase. I don't know if they know, but they know that there's some smoke and that there's fire. And I maybe shouldn't have used that analogy, but they know that there's something that's not right, but they just are in denial about it. And as a result, they've convinced themselves, they've bent themselves into so many different pretzels that, how many people's minds will it change or affect? We still got people out there that are saying that the reason that Kamala Harris lost the election is because she didn't talk about, certain things enough or to the right people. So, but they won't acknowledge the fact that that's not the reason. When you've got a felon that people consciously voted for, you made a decision to pick that over her. Be damned talking about the price of food. Or that she didn't talk about, Social Security or taxes enough. No, you're right. People know they know what they voted for. So I just think in my wish list, look at the holiday Christmas catalog. I wish President Biden would say, you know what, I'm just ripping the cover off of this. Here it is for everybody to see. That's me.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree with you, and I wish you would too. But it's not going to happen. I mean, that's just not. We're not at that place. I mean, people still deny January 6th and don't. They still say it was done by the FBI, and they blame it on Nancy Pelosi. And so MAGA is a lost world, man. There's just not a whole lot you could do with those people.
Yeah. As we go forward, Kurt, do you think that and I want to ask you a question about some of the things that you're working on there, but do you think that the growth of voters or the numbers that we're going to need going forward is? I mean, I think it's less trying to get people to change their mind from being MAGA or GOP or in the middle, and more about getting people who didn't vote out to vote and galvanizing that crowd of people. I don't know what your thoughts. I think I know what your thoughts are, but I don't want to make any assumptions. Where's the meat and substance as we go forward?
Well, I think that there's a combination of all of those things that you talk about. I believe our voter base is there. I believe we have the numbers, and I believe there are enough of us there to make a difference. We just need to. I think a couple things are going to happen. I think the next couple years are going to prove to a lot of people what a huge mistake it was putting this guy back in office. I mean, just what's happened in the last it just is amazing to me on a daily basis. I mean, it's crazy, I mean, how stupid of an individual this guy is, and people sit back and say, oh, yeah, that's who I voted for. He's going to make a difference in this world. I mean, it just is mind-boggling. But I think our base is there. I think what we need to do is continue to educate our voters and reach across the aisle, because that's the one thing that is lacking in our country, and it's because of the media deserts that have been created since the internet come out, and local newspapers are no longer around, and there's people in a lot of rural areas in this country who just rely on mainstream media, and that's some place that people need to get away from. Mainstream media is poison. It's not good. But you have to be selective at what you listen to and what you view. I mean, and where you get your information from. But I think educating our voters, I think engaging with people, talking to people, just exciting people, letting them know that our message is not wrong. Our message just was not strong enough to overpower what their message was. You know, Republicans have been working on this for 40-some years. I mean, this started back with Reagan, and they've been working on this message. And I've said this before. And Democrats, one of our problems is that we always have just stood back and said, well, it'll be okay. You know, we didn't worry about Roe v. Wade because it was law, and so nobody's going to do anything different, because we sat here and talked to him, and he said, well, if you put me on the Supreme Court, I'm going to honor Roe v. Wade. You know, they lie. Yeah. And I think we have finally figured that out, you know. But I think engaging and gathering as a group and bonding together and making sure that our small communities, like where I live and in our states, that we start making a march forward and that we try to make a difference, because I think in 2 years you're going to see a huge swing with not just, you know, elections that will be taking place in the state, which are, you know, not going to be as many as, you know, on the national level, but I think you're going to see a big difference, because there's some devastating things that are going to occur in our country very quickly, and people are going to be woke up real quick. I mean, just, you know, the things they talk about, what they're going to do.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting you said that too about informing. So this is something that I was having a chat with about recently in terms of how we actually do go forward and how we actually look back and say, what did we learn? So our message, our ideas, our goals are right. And in this election, it wasn't that nothing was proven that our ideas and our goals for the country were wrong. What was proven is that the message location, where the message landed, didn't land effectively enough to the people that needed to hear it. Now, that's not to say the message was wrong. That's to say that the way that the message may have been delivered and how it was delivered and to whom, not even to whom, but to your point, it reached people that weren't affected by it because they didn't get affected by it at the right time. That's fancy words to say we have to do a better job. Democrats have to do a better job. Progressives have to do a better job of broadening the message. And I said this earlier in the week, broadening the message so that the message does hit micro groups, if you will, but it hits everybody at the same time. In my mind, it's a classic example of walking and chewing gum at the same time. We still have to talk about LGBTQ issues. We still have to talk about rural lack of technology issues. We still have to talk about middle income and lower income issues. But the message should be a broad message in terms of its destination, not just hitting segmented groups in a sort of a silo way. I think that's probably strategically one of the things that hopefully the folks have learned. I know that I'm going to be pushing that readily, is that, and I'm going to be talking to Mayor Johnson on Friday, and that's one of the things that I'm going to ask and say to him. Make sure, and I'm tipping my hand now, but not really. You got to talk to everybody all the time about everything you're doing, because some people think that by not hearing what you're doing, that you're not doing anything. Does that make any sense, Kurt, how I'm saying that? And I think the Democratic Party in general has fallen to that. To your point, they kind of sit back and say, well, it's going to work itself out. No, you got to bring the sledgehammer to the party and break some stuff, show people that you're willing to break some stuff and fix it the right way, with ideas that work, and not sit back and just go, it's gonna work itself out. I 1,000% agree with you there. We don't have that luxury anymore.
Yeah, I've been invited in the last couple of weeks to some Zoom meetings that have been just extremely beneficial, and I've learned a lot. And one of the things that we talked about just the other night in one, that voters don't have a tendency to engage in an election until the final 2 weeks or so before the election. They really don't pay much attention, most voters, which I found to be shocking. That, studies have proven that people just, they're busy in their, we got to remember, not everybody is politically involved like those of us who are in this group that talk about it all the time. Most people could care less. They're more concerned about their football team or, whatever. a lot of people just are not engaged in it. So we are in a group that talk about it all the time, so we're used to that. But a lot of people don't. They don't engage politics or into elections until it gets closer to the very end. So the issues that are at hand in those final 2-3 weeks or months are what people usually vote on. And the Democrats have not done a good job at being consistently putting our message out there. And that means from election to election, not the final, just let's jump on board here and try to get what we're saying out there at the very end. We need to do what Republicans have done. Republicans, just look what the felon did during his campaign trail, okay? He pounded the same issues over and over, even though they were lies. He pounded those every single time he got in front of a microphone. He said the same thing.
Yeah.
You can literally pull up his campaign trail and look at his different speeches, and they're the same message.
Yeah,
and the message was a lie.
And the message, that's the thing. Here's the thing. As the phrase goes, and I'm going to botch it, is that, you tell a lie enough times it becomes a truth. That's what they succeeded at doing. Without a doubt, the Republican message machine lies were repeated over and over again, and not just from Trump, but from other folks. And a good example is looking at some of the people that ran in their primary that made certain comments, and then they flipped and went the other direction because they wanted to support be on the team with Trump. They lied. That's not changing. They lied. They flat out lied, but the lies kept repeating themselves. Right. So, I've been as long as I can think, I've been saying this, and certainly with this show this past year, and in previous broadcasts on the family meeting, I've said this for the longest time. Kurt, to your point, the Democratic message needs to be consistent. It needs to be regular. It needs to be informative. We have to stop being afraid and shy to speak our truth every single day. And you heard me say this before the holiday, and I'm going to say it now and say it again. Every Friday and every Monday, when the week closes, all of our elected Democratic officials across the country should have a national Zoom call or a national public fireside chat, whatever the hell you're going to call it. Here's what we did this week. Here's what the Republicans are trying to do to affect you in a negative way. Here's what we're doing that's a positive thing. And then Monday morning, come out of the gate. So this week, this is what we're going to be working on. And this is what the Republicans are going to try to do to stop you from benefiting and moving forward. America, sorry, guys, doggone it. The Democrats need to do that every week, minimally, every week. And I know that people have their YouTube and go on mainstream media and go on social media and do it so that everybody is forced to see it regularly. To your point about don't start 3 weeks before the election, start 3 years before the election. I don't know. Call me crazy.
Well, no, you're spot on with a lot of the things that you just said. I mean, that's the truth. And the one thing that you've been an exception to the rule, but the one thing that has been frustrating to me since I started this is that on my social pages, and Instagram is my biggest one, but I'm starting to do more on TikTok, and I've been on Facebook now mainly because of local stuff. But I've reached out to a lot of different groups or organizations, sent them messages or tried to make contacts, emails and everything. And I get very little response. People just, because I'm an individual. You've been someone who's allowed me a platform to talk about my issues. And I think that's something that Democrats really need to look at. They did a great job at bringing content creators to the DNC, and I'm not trying to be negative to anybody, but a lot of these content creators are entertainers. Okay, they're doing it for. They're trying to get the message out, but they're doing it in a completely different. They're not doing it the way that a lot of us do it. Yeah. I try to throw humor out there or whatever once in a while, but I talk about the basic facts of things and try to put forward a message that we all need to share and have with each other. And you've allowed me that platform, and that's something I've always been grateful to you about. And I will, always stand by your side and fight for, you and promote WCPT and Heartland Signal and all of you because of that exact thing. But this is what needs to occur. People need to, there's a lot of us grassroots people like myself out here that we have a message that we need to get out too. We need to share this with people. Yeah, I don't have an organizational name next to me. I'm not part of this group or that. I'm me.
Yeah.
But if you don't think I've got a voice that has some important messages, well, that's,
Well, yeah, I will share.
Because
I'll share this with you, Kurt. That first of all, thank you for that acknowledgement, and that's what partnerships are all about.
Yeah.
And listen, we're going to continue to do this thing. We're going to ride it till the rails and the wheels and everything falls the hell off, because we believe in this. It's not something that we're doing for entertainment value. Yes, there's an entertainment component to it because we want people to feel, energized and part of something and feel like, okay, yeah, I can connect with these people because they've inspired me. But my job, and I say this, is to do that and have content that's going to allow people to go, okay, I got something to use that I can take away and talk to somebody else and share this with. In your space, the same thing is there. So I'm going to re-energize you every time I can and say, listen, I know it's tough. And let me put it to you this way, Kurt, so you can walk away from today's call and say, all right, we're back on this. I know people there are people who listen to this show that follow you, and they know that your material and your content is spot on, and they love what you put out there. So don't let and I'm not saying that you are, but I'm going to put it this way. Anybody that's listening, that's creating content, that's putting things out there on social media and doing things that are informative, you keep doing that, because there's somebody you never know. I will tell you this, you never know. When you post something, and I'm saying this to Kurt, I'm saying this to anybody that's out there doing stuff, you never know when you post one thing or have one conversation or send something out who needed to see that somewhere on the planet. And I don't want to sound hokey. And they went, wow, I didn't realize that. I wasn't aware of that information. So it's tough. I'm not denying that at all, Kurt. I know it is, because we work hard to have a platform that's going to resonate. But on a larger scale, there's a lot of people who, are doing it for partly different reasons, and they do put out good information. Right. We just have to hold it down with what we do and just keep making it bigger. And that's, listen, man, you're doing the work, brother. You are doing the work. So, remain excited about that. And And I appreciate everything that you just said. It means a lot to me, and I guess I wasn't looking for confirmation or assurance that what I'm doing, and I hope it didn't come off that way. No,
I'm just
not
saying
at all.
That there's a lot of people out there that we need to listen to, and we need to open our ears to, because we're all in this fight together, and there's a message that we all have. And the more that we open our ears and the more we put those messages together, the better chance that we have at making a difference. So
I think
I just hate how quickly our time goes away, because there's so many other things that I wanted to talk to about today. But hey, we'll get to them. There's plenty of time.
Well, here's the thing, and it's funny because I was thinking about this morning. I said, man, Kurt and I have a lot to talk about because it's been 2 weeks, and so I will put this out there to you so that if we can we'll take this break and we come back, we'll talk some more. We don't have to end the call today at 7:30 like we've done in the past. So let's keep.
I know you have callers, man, and I don't want to take away from people being able to call in on your show.
Here's what we'll do. Here's what we'll do, because there's a couple more things I wanted to ask you about anyhow. We'll go to a break. We'll take a couple of calls. You'll stay on. We'll come back, and we'll keep it moving.
That'd be great. Yeah.
How's that sound?
That'd be great.
Let's do that.
That sounds great, man.
Well, let's take a quick break, guys. The number is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views. We've got Kurt Mullet from Hoosier Blue 63 on with us. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. We'll get your calls.
Welcome Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9270. Always appreciate your texts. I got my man Kurt Mullet from Hoosier Blue 63 on, and we've been kind of our welcome back and welcome to 2025 call. We haven't had Kurt on in a couple of weeks because Christmas and New Year's landed on Wednesday. Took up your spot, man. I don't like that. Trying to bogart your time. Hey, listen, that's
good. I would, yeah.
You bogarted your time, man. I'm upset with Christmas and New Year's. Don't be doing that to us. Listen,
we're here, brother. We're here.
We got a couple of folks on hold that I'm going to have you on the line when we bring them on. But I want to talk about something that, to your point about media and misinformation and garbage. Fox News, this is what's so crazy, Kurt. Fox News had a panel of people on talking about this thing about global domination and, taking over Panama Canal and taking over Greenland. Okay, those would be acts of essentially military aggression. I won't say acts of war, but military aggression to actually pull that off.
Right.
It's insanity to waste our resources on that. Oh, but I thought it was about the price of eggs. All right, here's the thing.
Right.
Check this out, Kurt. Fox News had this panel on. They were talking about how Harry Truman was trying to buy Greenland. Y'all listen to this. In 1867. What's wrong with that story, Kurt? What's wrong with that story, man?
Oh man,
something doesn't match up.
Time to talk about that.
But to your point, but to your point about misinformation, false information, bad media, etc., telling the lies. So that's part of where we are, but that's why I also believe that you and I and others have to be connective tissue to make sure that we get our message out and keep it out, because that's going to allow people to be able to have a tool to filter through and fight through, separating the wheat from the chaff, as the phrase would go. All right, Kurt, let's bring on a couple of callers while we have you on the line. Let's go to Ernie. Ernie, I don't know if you're here in Chicago or if you're in Pittsburgh or if you're in, where are you calling from, Ernie?
I'm calling from Berwyn.
Oh, okay. Suburb of Chicago.
Yeah, so
welcome to the show. Good morning.
Hello, my relatives. Rich, I'm grateful for your effort and for your work here today. I'm also grateful to WCPT for the work that it does.
Thank you.
I will say I totally support you in your call for the unredacted release of both Mueller and Jack Smith reports. I grew up on a family farm in Lee County, Illinois, an island of conformity and a sea of corn. I was so 4-H, Boy Scouts, right wing. You can't imagine how conservative I was. And I'm still here standing today, breathing Potawatomi air, drinking Potawatomi water on Potawatomi land. And I totally believe you are 100% correct in saying free Leonard Peltier, as another person said, but also, more importantly, even than that, is release those reports unredacted. And Biden, I voted for you, and I am so regretful of that, because you have not held this guy accountable. Number 45, wannabe number 47, retread, the felon, should not be in the Oval Office. And the only thing left to do really is release those reports, full, unredacted. And, Rich, I am so grateful to you for bringing that up.
Thanks,
Your
Ernie.
100,000-watt full-gallon radio station, 8 million watts, whatever it is, this message going out around the world.
Thanks, Ernie. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for your contribution to the show. Stay safe, and glad you're with us this morning. Kurt, so what are your thoughts there?
Well, like I said, I believe that they should be released. I think it should be general, knowledge, and I think eventually they will, unless he destroys them and gets rid of the evidence. But I think eventually it will, and I think most of us who have paid attention, we know what's in those.
Yeah. Well, there's probably going to, even for us though, Kurt, do you think there'll be some surprising information in the report? Like, oh my God, I didn't know that.
Oh, absolutely. There always is. I mean, anytime you have it's just like the mandate for leadership. I have downloaded it and gone through it many times, and it seems like every time I open it up, there's like, wow, I missed that before. How did I, so yeah, I think there's information that you always have. The one thing about what Ernie was kind of saying and what you've said this morning, I think, that came across my eyes in the last couple of days is that the felon is out on bail.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that.
Yep.
He's out on bail.
Can you say that again one more time? I didn't hear you.
He is out on bail.
Oh, okay. And he's a felon? Is that what they're saying about him? Is
He's
that right?
a felon. That's how I refer to him. If you notice, I don't say his name anymore. I refuse to say his name. I refer to him as the felon. And, of course, all of these people on the right, they don't understand, no, those just made-up charges. No, I mean, people, that case was thrown out. I had somebody tell me. They don't know. No,
well, and that goes back to what you said about misinformation and the lies and just the repeated, that's not true. It's just BS. And they just drink it like, lemonade on a hot summer day. It is. If Trump is if 34 times XCF, if 34 XCF has been accurate about something, and that is the lack of intellect, and I'm not going to call anybody anything, but the lack of intellect and the laziness in terms of information is just horribly, horribly harmful to this country, and it's proving itself out right now, man.
Yeah, I'm waiting for. I'm going to get on social media today, and I guarantee you somebody's going to be posting about Harry Truman wanting to buy Greenland in 1867.
Yeah. So, do you know? And it's going to be because they got it from Fox News.
Exactly, because that's their only source.
That's their only source.
That's their only source. I have a brother. That's his only source. Fox
wow.
News.
How do y'all interact? And I got to ask the question. I just got to be nosy and poke the bear. How do y'all interact?
Oh, yeah. Well, you are poking a bear because we don't.
Damn.
We used to be very close. He's 10 years older than me, and we used to be very close. But in the last 3 years, it's changed. The conversation with him and I, he has a daughter who has Down syndrome, mm-hmm. and she has lived far past what her expected life span was supposed to be. She's 40 years old now, mm-hmm. and she's someone that's been very dear to my heart. I love her to death. I call her my little dork. I just always spend time with her when we're around. And when the making fun of the reporter who was the cat came out, and he defended him, it changed my perspective immediately. And the more that we talked, the less we talked.
Yeah.
Because he did that 16. My brother referred to it as a joke. And I said, well, which time was it? Because he did it 16 times. Oh, no, he didn't. That's a lie. So I haven't really spoken to him in the last, year and a half or so. We've lost communication. And it's a tough thing. And this is one of the things that people talk about, how it's affected families. And, how can you put, family relationships in front of politics or whatever? And I said, it has nothing to do with that. I mean, I still love my brother. And if he called me today, I'd be right there in a heartbeat. But his moral compass points in a completely different direction than mine.
Yeah.
And I cannot interact with somebody who supports this guy. I can't. And unfortunately, I don't have respect for people that support this guy because they're blind to what he stands for.
Well, and listen, first of all, the courage, first of all, congrats to you on being a good uncle, because I love being a good uncle myself. And my wife and I take it as a responsibility and a badge of honor to be a good uncle and a good aunt. So kudos to you in that space. Right. But I also want to come back to something, it's bold and it takes courage and it takes heart, but it also takes commitment for you to say, I love my brother and I'd be there in a heartbeat, but doggone it, I'm not rolling with him when he goes down that dangerous hill. We're not doing that together. Right. I do have to call, I have to draw a line. And that takes courage, but it also says that I'm committed to what I believe in. Because one of the things that I would caution, I would say about what our party has not done is it's made it clear that's unacceptable. We are not going to stand for that. And you kind of talked about that at the beginning of the call today. We have to take the position, no, you're not coming that way with this garbage. And you and I can use a sports analogy. We're on the same hoop team together. And there's a guy on the other team that's just been playing dirty. At some point, you got to put his behind on the floor and let him know you're not going to do that anymore. You've been pushing my man Kurt around all night. We're done. That's what the Democratic Party, I believe, has to do from an idea standpoint, from a policy standpoint, from a conversation standpoint. And that's why I keep harping on every week, every Friday and Monday, come out strong, end the week strong, come out the beginning of the week strong. And you take a stand. You love your brother, but you take a stand and say, no.
I love him to death.
So that's how it has to be.
But I can't. When you support a man who is part of a party that actually put the lives of people in danger, and are forcing the deaths of women in our country, and are telling people what they can and cannot do. I just, and you've talked about this in the last couple of days, and I don't want to get deep into it, but it's racism, man. Yeah. This country is a racist country. That's what it all boils down to. And these Christian nationalists are trying to take it over, and it's based on racism. They don't want anybody who is not white and believe what they believe to have any rights, and they're going to make sure that they're stripped away from all of us. And if you support that, I have a very low opinion of you, man.
You take a separate car. You take a separate car to the store. I'm gonna ride in this car. We're both gonna go to the store, but I'm not riding with you to the store in your car, and you're not riding in mine. Yeah. I mean, it's just Yeah. And hey, I appreciate you letting me stay on, and I'll take off. No. We're gonna take a quick. We're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna get another call. So sit tight. You okay with that? Yeah, I'm okay with that. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Number 773-763-9278. Me and Kurt are going to take a break. This is Choose Views. We'll be right back.
T-Mobile 5G home internet keeps getting better. Get our fastest connection loaded with benefits. Get T-Mobile's best home internet starting at $55 a month with auto pay and any voice line. Plus, Price Lock. We won't raise your rate on internet. Check availability at T-Mobile.com/home internet. Exclusions like taxes and fees apply. Guarantees regular monthly rate plan price of fixed wireless 5G internet data with qualifying service. After $15 bill credit with postpaid voice line plus $5 a month without auto pay with debit or bank account. Regulatory fees included for qualifying accounts. $35 connection charge applies. Speeds vary due to factors affecting cellular networks.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
It's Choose Views with Richard Chu on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey, guys, welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. We got my man Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. Check out his work on social media. Pass it along to everybody that you know because the content and the information is both informative, but it's humorous as hell. So make sure that you're checking him out. And he and I are doing the long version today. Kurt's been with us in the 7 o'clock hour, and it's always a pleasure to have you with us this morning. Kurt, let's go to a quick call. Our good friend Victor from the Northwest side of the country. Good morning and welcome to the show.
USA.
That's right. How you doing, Victor?
Chew and Choose You. How do you do? And Kirk too.
That's right. Look at you. Victor, let me ask you a question, man. You got a rap album coming out or something soon?
I'm working on it, bro.
There you go.
I agree that these reports should. I agree that these reports should be released, but not by President Biden. Because for the next 4 years, Donald Trump is going to investigate President Biden for a breach of national security or whatever. Anyway, there will be another investigation on President Biden like his son, Hunter Biden. And we don't want to go through that. But the report should be released by a staff member anonymously and call it a cyber breach. Tell them the Chinese cyber attack. Or maybe WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks released the report. But nevertheless, I believe that you are the instrument for the news of the day. That's not the mainstream news that's going to be basically totally biased and in the tank for the Republican Party. And we have all these social media platforms that are not going to fact-check anything anymore. And they will definitely go by way of Twitter, who's lost all his followers practically, except for the sex traffickers and the drug traffickers. But fact-checking is going to be your job, Mr. Chu, and all of the progressive shows. So people are not going to listen to they're not going to listen to Facebook for news.
Go ahead, Kurt.
They came out with the big video, and he's talking about not fact-checking that social media post and all of that, and that they're not going to do that. They haven't anyway. Because if you are on Instagram or Facebook, they don't fact-check a lot of stuff. So it will change a little bit, but it's not going to affect it that much. So
probably not. I agree. But you know what? Donald Trump was given a press conference yesterday, and he told nothing but a string of lies that went on forever. And I think he's going to break his record of 30,000 lies that he made during his last. He's going to break that record for sure. And one last thing. One last thing. The reason why Donald Trump wants to take over Greenland and use military force and the Panama Canal is that this was an idea that was brought up during his first administration by Putin. And the reason is that Greenland is a territory of Denmark, and Denmark is in the NATO alliance. And so Donald Trump is going to make the excuse that we're going to take over Greenland and we'll have to leave NATO because Denmark is part of NATO. So this is part of the reason to, for Donald Trump to leave NATO. And as far as the Panama Canal, the Panama Canal is our ally, the Panama people. And one thing they do they have done is follow the sanctions that we imposed on Russia, and same with NATO, too, and most of the free world. And they do not allow Russian ships to go through the Panama Canal. So Donald Trump wants to do Putin another big favor like he pulled out of Syria. And he wants to make sure that Putin doesn't have to go around South America to deliver any of their products or whatever.
Well, it's true, oil. Victor, and we talked about that recently, where that's at the core of it. The Panama Canal is a tip to Russia, as is Greenland is a tip to Russia. It's that simple. It's not any more complicated than that. And sometimes folks make it more complicated. They think it's this, and it's this goes back to what Kurt was saying about folks not being properly informed, more painfully being misinformed. So
exactly.
Victor, thank you, man. I'm glad you were able to be on with us this morning, and you got a chance to directly say hey to Kurt.
Good work, you guys.
We'll do, man.
Because we need frontline fighters, freedom fighters. We need you frontline freedom fighters. And you guys, I depend on you for my news. So let's make sure you guys tell the truth and be honest, and we don't have to listen to that damn corporate news.
There you go.
Take care. Love you all.
Thanks, Victor. Be well. He's great. I love Victor's calls to the show. He's always got something informed to say in terms of things that are happening, and he sends me some great emails as well.
And he was spot on with what he was saying. Basically, this whole thing about Canada and Greenland and Panama Canal, it's all about maritime waterways. That's what it's all about, and oil. There's a lot of things involved in it, but that is what it's all about.
Bingo.
Putin wants total control of the waterways, so that's what it is.
These guys are wanting masters of the universe.
Before we break rank here, yesterday I ran across a guy on Instagram. His name is Katie Bowie.
Okay.
KDBOWE.
Okay.
You need to check him out, okay?
Send me. If you haven't already, Kurt, I know you're probably already going down this. Send me everything you can on him so I can check him out.
Yeah, I'll send you his handle and stuff. But he made a reel, and the message at the end of it was, it struck me, man. When you're in a situation, when you walk into a room or when you're in a situation, be the thermostat, not the thermometer. And that resonated with me. So, I sat there and was just like, wow.
Yeah.
Be the thermostat. Be the one that controls the temperature in the room, whether you need to turn it up or you need to turn it down. Don't be the thermometer. And I think that's a message that Democrats need to hear and that we need to take forward. We need to be the thermostat.
Yeah. No, I know.
We're done being the thermometer.
That's wow.
It blew me away, man. Blew me away. I mean, in our life we run across little sayings. It's sometimes the smallest amount of words that can make the biggest difference in our lives.
That's why I keep saying.
I'll send you his info.
We keep pushing. Yeah, do that. Kurt, let's grab one quick call before we wrap up. Let's go to Cassandra here in Oak Park. Hey, Cassandra, welcome to the show. Welcome to Choose Views.
Good morning, Richard. Good morning, Kurt. Thank you so much.
Good morning.
Echoing everything that you guys have been saying all through the show, I also have a relative that I love to death, and he has supported Donald. But what I'm realizing is that people aren't realizing your contempt for others are putting your own loved ones at risk with who you put in and the policies that they come up with. As I was saying, there's a book by Rachel Maddow called Prequel, An American Fight Against Fascism. And that's what we're smack dab in the middle of. And I feel like Elon Musk being at the right-hand side or left-hand side of Trump or whatever, he's like a cross between Thanos and Goldfinger. Elon Musk is monitor for a bond villain. And we need a James Bond to kind of stop this madness.
Yeah, that Cassandra, you get the prize for linking this all together this morning. Rachel's book, Prequel. Well, my wife and I had a chance to go and see her here in Chicago when she released the book, and it's phenomenal. And maybe we'll try to give some copies away in the next couple of weeks. But good connection. You're right in terms of that Bond villain, that Ark Goldfinger esque type of personality. But we've got to be the ones to stand in the void to make sure that what's about to happen doesn't get so bad that we can't, stand back and stand up and fight back. So
one more thing. Sure. With my uncle, he and I had a discussion, and one of the things he keeps staying on is we as African Americans are youth, what they're not doing for themselves. And I posed two questions to him. I said, well, what are you doing to help people who don't know what they don't know? And then the other was with the Katherine Johnson story. I would have been about 6. And I asked him, I said, did you know about her story? And he said, yes. And I simply asked him, why didn't you tell me? And crickets, because it made him think. Because you can't say people aren't doing things if you have knowledge and you're not passing it along, and especially within the family.
Yep. Wow. Cassandra, front of the class today. I appreciate that. Thank you for being with us and contributing to the show as always. It's good to hear your voice, Cassandra. Have a great day today and stay safe. It's cold as hell in Chicago right now. So
yes, it is. Thank you very much. Have a good one.
You too. Kurt, we got to wrap up, my man. I'm glad you stayed with us.
Yeah, and thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We got to keep our man Kurt Mullet pumped up and strong, guys. We're going to wrap up the show as always. It's great to be with you. Tomorrow we will have another couple of great guests, and then Friday, you know how we roll. It's good to be with everybody. As always, take a deep breath, make your life count. We'll be back tomorrow.